All right, so today we're going to talk about generating and looking at different reports in Edgenuity that will help you have conversations with students and help monitor their progress. So, I am going to walk you through how to pull up and read the course reports that you have access to in Edgenuity, just so that you can drill down and see student progress and figure out how they're doing and what their prognosis is, so to speak. So from your dashboard, you're going to go to reports. Now, I'm actually going to walk you through my favorite report first, and one that I think is going to be most helpful for you if you are just trying to get a glance of where students are. And that is the group reports, or the group progress. So you can click on that. Now at the top of the page, there's a lot of information about what each of the abbreviations mean. So basically, when you pull up the report, you're going to see the percent time, which is basically the percentage that the student has completed based on the amount of time that they're spending and based on the amount of time that has elapsed. So if you want to know though just how far a student is in a course, you're going to go to percent count, and that will tell you whether they've completed 10, 12, 18, 27% of a course. So it takes the time factor out of it. Um, and for those of you who are doing credit recovery, there are not due dates in those courses, so the students are working at their own pace because they're only in your class for 45 minutes a day. So the percent count is going to give you a better representation of where they are, since those targets are not the same as if they had due dates in the class. Okay, so you're also going to see three different grades. The first grade is the relative grade, and basically that means, what the student would get if they just stopped working at that point and did not finish the course. So it factors in zeros for all missing work. The overall grade is basically the average of what they've turned in. It's kind of like a progress report. If they've completed, 20% of the course and have a 95, that doesn't take into account anything that they have yet to turn in. And the actual grade, this one is kind of confusing, I'm not going to lie, but it's based on the overall grade relative to how much time has gone by. So for those of you who are doing distance learners, and your students have targets to complete every day, the actual grade is going to show you their progress based on the time elapsed. But for those of you who are doing credit recovery, the overall grade is probably what you want to focus on. Um, you know, or if the student is saying, I think I'm almost done, can I stop working? The relative grade will tell you whether or not they would be passing if they didn't do anything else. So I know that our goal is to get the students 100% through these courses, but that's just what these numbers mean. So if you come down here, there are color codes for whether or not the student is on track, behind, or ahead. And then there are color codes for how the student is performing. So you can see that. Now, what you also have access to are some filters. And you've got the start date, the end date, and then you can filter it down to just your students. So for those of you who are doing credit recovery, who have students who are completing courses from last fall, if you want to just look at those courses and see where they are, or just want to get an idea of who still has those courses open, you can come up here and do a start date. You'll want to just click on the calendar, and then those students started in August of 2020. So you can just click on maybe, give it a range of August 1st through 31st, and then search by that. For students who are, whoops, wrong thing. There we go. For students who are completing the geometry course from last semester from Miss Leach, that start date was actually in October. So if you want to see if you have any students still working on that, put the month of October in there. You can search by student, first name and last name. If you want to say, well, I have this guy whose name is Jim, forget his last name, but I want to see where Jim is, well, you can search by Jim's name. But what you probably will want to do overall is filter by just your class so that you don't have to see everyone. And basically, you're going to leave all students here. You could filter it, well, it doesn't allow you to filter by active students. So there's your choice. But then you can see that when I click on classes, these are either your credit recovery or your distance learning class or any of the other classes that we have available. So I'm going to click on one of these just to show you what that filter looks like. Now, you can have active or inactive students. You know, if you want to look at students that have previously completed, you can go to inactive. But for the most part, you're dealing with the kids who are right in front of you. And then the snapshot is basically just looking at how they're doing over a certain amount of time. So leave that at latest. And then always you're going to have to hit search to filter that out. Okay, so this will be blurred since I do have student names in here, so I apologize for that. But you can see over here, it's got the student name, it's got the course that they're enrolled in, and it's got all of the information that you need for that student. And it does separate it by student. If you wanted to separate it by like the chemistry class, maybe you have like 5 or 6 kids enrolled in that, you can. If you want to view the by course, just come up here and display by course instead of by student. But since you all are mostly tracking progress in credit recovery, you probably want to just display it by student. Now you can see that for a lot of these students, you know, they have got a lot of red, but then their grade here, a lot of them are doing a little bit better. So basically, this is showing that students are behind. Now keep in mind that Edgenuity is set up to do more than 45 minutes a day. So I'm actually looking at a credit recovery course. So that's why it's showing that the percentages are so low, because the students just don't have time during the day to complete it. But you can see that some of them are actually doing really well. We've got a lot of passing grades, a lot of close to passing, things like that. If you want to drill down to a particular student, like let's say you were having a conversation with one of them about how they're doing, you can click on their name from there. And it's going to give you a progress report individually. So it'll show you what percentage they've completed, what their current overall grade is. It'll give you all of those different grades. And you can see that this says a daily goal of 119 hours and 58 minutes. So that is impossible. As far as I know, we're still operating off of the 24-hour day. But basically, to complete all of the remaining information inside of this course, the student needs to commit to do about 120 hours worth of work. So it's a lot. But it walks you through, you know, how many quizzes, tests, exams, assignments, etc. that they've submitted, what their grades were, and then it breaks that down by each course. So you can see it's also got their language arts course in there as well. So this is a very useful tool for students so that you can see exactly where they are in each of their classes. All right, so I'm going to go to another report, and basically this report is the lesson mastery. This is an incredible tool for teachers who are looking to plan curriculum, plan instruction based on how students are doing. So you can run a report, and you can see the report that I've run in here before just to kind of go in and get an idea. But it breaks it down by standards and strands. So if you were using Edgenuity actually in a classroom and wanting information about how students were performing across different standards, you could do that. I just wanted to show you this. I know that we really aren't teaching through Edgenuity this way, but it's a useful report if you had a bunch of students in a class who were trying to recover a credit and you wanted to see where they were struggling. All right, so the next report I'm going to look at is the attendance log. Now, over here on the right-hand side, obviously you see the students, and this is going to tell you exactly when the students are working. So it also will tell you, besides the time and the date, it will tell you what they actually managed to accomplish. So, this student was able to take 2 quizzes on this date, 3 quizzes on another date. This student did 4 quizzes and a test, all within a certain date there. So you can actually pull that up. And right now it's looking at everybody. Again, you have the filter where you can just choose a class and see how the students are doing. Now, you can see the time on each date. So um, if you have a student who you're concerned isn't working, just pull this up and have a chat with them. Be like, look, you say you're working, but this is what I see. So it's a really nice report to have if you want to have a conversation with the student about their progress and how things are going. You can do it by weeks up here, and it's going to always default to the current week. But if you have a student who, claims they worked like 2 weeks ago and it's just not showing their progress, you can actually pull that up and show them, well, you didn't log any time. So tell me about that. You can also drill down to an individual student here from this report, and it will tell you exactly what they did. So on Monday, this student logged in and logged out. That's all they did. But then as you scroll down, you can see what classes they were in, what they were clicking on, the different activities they were doing. So it really gives you a lot of rich detail about the student. And let's be honest, if they say they're logging in and working and you pull this up and it's a blank, well, there's a conversation starter for you. All right, one more report that I think would be useful out of this menu is the Manage Current Sessions, sorry. And basically this will pull up everybody at first. You can drill down to your class. Now there are no students currently working in Josh Parker's Flex because I'm recording this at 9 a.m. and Flexbox doesn't start until this afternoon. So let me pull up a class where there are students actually awake and working. Okay. So you can see who is actually in the class and working right now. If you need to, you can go in and actually close that session. If there was an incident where, like, a student was struggling or you needed to like log that student out so that one of us could go in and look at their account, you could do it by this. But also, for those of you in FlexBlock, if you have a student who looks to be working logged in and you pull this up and you're like, Jim Bob isn't in here because he hasn't logged in yet, again, it's a place to have a conversation. So it will let you know who is actually in the class and doing what they're supposed to be doing. It's a handy little tool. All right, the last thing I want to talk to you about is the dashboard, and I saved it for last because you can get all of the information I showed you from the dashboard, but it's not as intuitive, so I prefer to use the reports that they have on hand. That I will show you, excuse me, that I am excited about or really enjoy, like whatever the word is the student filter. So if you pull that up, you can actually filter students who have, like, if they were previous students from last semester, you can go to disabled, but you can go to all of your students. You can filter it by grade level if you want to. Um, you can say whether they're online or offline working or not. But then what I like is you can filter it by students who are behind, on target, or ahead. Now, this is mostly for our distance learning folks whose students have, daily goals to complete. But what I like about it is if you just want to look at those students and get an idea, you can pull that up and get a list. You can see the course they're in, their grade, and their progress. Now, some of the classes have like checkpoints in them, and you'll see these boxes. And when the students reach the checkpoints, you'll see grades in each of those. Um, since not all classes have it, if you get the information, it's useful, but obviously you don't have to have it there. And then You can scroll all the way to the right, and I'll go back up to the checkbox class. So it'll show you like all the different levels and the progress the students is making. For the classes that have it, it's a great tool, but classes that don't, oh well. So one of the things too that I like about this is you can export anything to Excel that you want to. So if you want an actual report of where the students are, where you don't have to log in Edgenuity, you can do that. And I forgot to show you this. So if you go back to the group progress and filter it by your class and search. Sorry, Cody, I keep clicking on your name. All right, you can scroll to the very bottom and you can also export this to Excel as well. I've set this up so the students' names are actually over to the left of the screen so I didn't have to blur them. But you can see it sets it up by student, the name of the course they're in, and then it gives you all of those numbers and tracks their progress as well. So it's a really handy tool to be able to use. So that's it. I know this is a long video. I'm sorry for that. But if you have any questions about the reports, or if you want a certain report that you don't see in there, and want me to see if I can figure out how to make that happen, just let me know. This is just an easy tool for us to use to keep track of our students where they are and to monitor their progress. See ya.